ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So here we see it is mentioned that even though externally he looks like devilish, Lord Shiva looks devilish, looks like a devil, but his spiritual activities, the religious rites observed by him is followed even by Brahma. So that means his devilish looks are just an imitation, that is only external. Actually, he is the controller of the material energy, which causes the creation of this material world, and therefore he is considered to be very great. So the greatness of Lord Shiva, externally his appearance and his actual character, that is what is being described here. So in the purport, Prabhupada explains about Yat karanam vishwamidam cha maya, that how this material nature is under the control of Lord Shiva. Prabhupada explains this material nature, this material world is Durga, and Durga is the wife of Lord Shiva. So being the wife of Lord Shiva, she is under the control of Lord Shiva. So that means this material world, this material creation is under the control of Lord Shiva. So in that sense, he is great. Another example of his greatness as being Ishvara is that he is the in charge of mode of ignorance in this material world. So he is a controller of those living entities who are under the modes of ignorance. Another example of his greatness is he is a qualitative incarnation of the Supreme Lord and thus not different from him. Simultaneously, he is different, but at the same time, he is also one with the Lord, being incarnation of his qualitative. So, he is so great that even Brahmaji follows the example of Lord Shiva in the various spiritual, religious rites conducted by Lord Shiva are followed even by Brahma. Brahmadayo yat krita setu pala. So even Brahma follows the example, he follows in the footsteps of Lord Shiva. So this is what it is said here. So Prabhupada is concluding in the purport, therefore, he is very great and his renunciation of all material enjoyment is an ideal example of how one should be materially unattached. So this great personality must be followed in his ideal behavior of being materially unattached. One should therefore follow in his footsteps and be unattached to matter. So, how should we follow in the footsteps of Lord Shiva? We should follow in his footsteps and be unattached to matter and not imitate Lord Shiva by drinking poison like he drank. So this is a very important principle which we shall try to understand in today's class. Mahajana yen gataha sapantha. We should follow in the footsteps of Mahajanas, of the great personalities, but at the same time we should be careful not to imitate their activities. So, in Sanskrit, actually there are two very important words. One is called Anukaran, another is called Anusaran. Anukaran means simply imitating the externals of a person. It's called Anukaran. Anusaran means actually understanding that person's life, the ideal he has set, and follow in the footsteps of those teachings. That is called Anusaran. So all the Vedic literature advises to follow in their footsteps, but not to imitate their behavior or their activities. This is very important. Now somebody may question, but if these great personalities are on such a high caliber, they are like the leaders for us, they are Mahajana, they are our leaders in whose footsteps we should follow. Why sometimes they act in such a way which if we try to follow, we will perish? Isn't it that sometimes unintelligent, foolish people will follow in their footsteps? Why not they do only activities which we are supposed to follow? Why should they do activities at all which we are not supposed to follow? This question was asked by Parikshit Maharaj to Shukdev Goswami. That actually Lord Krishna descends in this material world to re-establish religious principles, spiritual principles. Correct? Lord Krishna comes here to re-establish spiritual principles. Then why does he act in a way which looks not religious, which is actually condemned in the society? If somebody wants to uplift himself spiritually, then actually those activities are condemned. Why did Krishna perform those activities? Specifically, he asked about the rasa dance of Krishna. Krishna performed the rasa dance. And rasa dance means there were many gopis and they were all married socially to someone else. So Krishna was performing this rasa dance with these gopis. So then one may question, we should follow in the footsteps of Lord Krishna. Yad yad acharati shreshtha. Acharati means whatever activities the great personalities do. Krishna is teaching himself in Bhagavad Gita. Yad yad acharati shreshtha tat tat evetaro janaha. Common man follows those things, the footsteps of great personalities. And that is what Krishna is also telling Arjuna. Arjuna, fight this battle. You are a Shreshtha, you are a leader. People will follow in your footsteps. You being a great Kshatriya, administrator, you are all ruling over the world. If you act in certain way, then people will also follow you. Isn't it? So you should perform your duty without fail. Otherwise people will also give up their duties. So Krishna is advising Arjuna that whatever great people do activities, common man follows. So does this not apply to Krishna himself? He was also great personality, the supreme personality himself. And then activities he is doing, will that not be followed by common people? So this question was placed by Parikshit to Shukdev Goswami. In reply to that, Shukdev Goswami gives a very, very important principle. That is what we will try to understand. That actually, on social level, Krishna's activities of rasa dance may be considered to be something which is not acceptable socially. But on spiritual level, that is the highest. The happiness derived by the gopis in rasa dance, which Krishna wanted to give to these dear devotees, is actually the highest. The rasa of Madhurya rasa, and that too in Parakiya Bhava, is considered to be the highest. But that should not be imitated. That is on a very advanced stage. The gopis who were dancing with Krishna, they were completely unattached to their material bodies. In fact, it is explained in Bhagavatam, they left their material bodies in their room. Only in their spiritual bodies they went and danced with Krishna. So that means they were not at all attached to the body. On that advanced level of spiritual understanding, it is different activities. And when it is looked on from material platform, one may misunderstand that. So Krishna has to also show what is the highest love he can give to the living entities of spiritual rasa. But at the same time, we also understand that improperly, when one understands these rasas and without proper qualification, when one tries to understand these rasas, he will definitely misunderstand. So therefore, Shukdev Goswami warns, immaturely don't try to understand. That's why we find these confidential pastimes of Radha and Krishna, Krishna and gopis is not discussed anywhere practically in Bhagavatam except in 10th canto. First 9 cantos are meant for making us qualified. Then when we have become liberated, then on that liberated platform we can understand these rasa dance, these intimate pastimes of Krishna, otherwise will be misunderstood. So warning is given by Shukdev Goswami. What is the warning? He says, even in dream don't try to imitate these pastimes of Krishna. Otherwise we will ruin our material and spiritual life. So he says, it's a very beautiful verse, Shukdev Goswami. This is spoken after the inquiries of Maharaj Parikshit. Na etat samacharet jatu manasa api anishwaraha. Those who are not on the platform of Ishvara, controller, that means we have come out of this material world. Now we are actually controlled by Maya, right? Until and unless we have become liberated from this world, one should not. Na etat samacharet. Samacharet means try to imitate. Samacharet means just try to imitate. Acharet means actually to follow. Samacharet means just to imitate. Jatu manasapi. Even in mind one should not try to imitate Krishna's activities specifically of rasa dance. Until he has come out, he has become liberated. Anishwara means if he is still under the control of Maya, if he is still controlled, then he should not try to imitate, even in his mind. Why? The example is given. Vinashyati acharan modhya. Such a mudha, such a foolish person, if he is not liberated, if he is still under the control of Maya, what will happen? He will ruin his life. Vinashyati acharan, if he tries to simply imitate those activities. And the example is given is Yatha Rudro Abadhijam Visham. Just like if somebody tries to imitate, this example is given by Shukdev Goswami. If somebody tries to imitate drinking of poison by Lord Shiva, that Lord Shiva, he is a great personality, let me try to imitate his activity. He drank poison, let me also try to drink poison. So if somebody tries to imitate those activities of Lord Shiva, what will happen to him? His life will be finished. So similarly, this example is given. Lord Shiva is a great personality, he is a controller, isn't it? His activities we cannot imitate. That has to be understood. Then next he says, Shukdev Goswami says, so then we may wonder, then what we should follow of these great personalities, isn't it? If not their activities, what should we follow? So he says, the teachings of these great personalities is what is required to be followed. Not imitate those activities. So, Ishwarana Vachah Satyam. There is great truth in the words of these great personalities. Ishwarana means of this great controller, either Lord Shiva, Brahma or Krishna, all these great personalities. Their teachings are what we should try to imbibe. Vachaha means whatever they explain as authorities is what we should follow. Ishwaranam vachaha satyam tatheva acharitam kvachit tesham yasva vacho yuktam buddhimam tat samachare. What one should completely follow, samachare, is only the teachings given by these great personalities and not try to imitate their activities, which is meant for higher purpose. So, the statement of the Lord's empowered servants are always true, and the acts they perform are exemplary when consistent with those statements. On spiritual level, their acts are consistent, but at our level, we cannot perform those acts. Therefore, one who is intelligent should carry out their instructions. That is called anusarana, not anukarana. So this is very, very important. There are many more very important examples, even in Krishna consciousness, that actually our spiritual life should be just guided by the instructions of Prabhupada, great personality, Acharya, the spiritual master. If our life becomes just guided by the instructions, and rather than trying to imitate some great Acharyas, we may become little enthusiastic. Prabhupada has given 16 rounds of chanting. Why not 64 rounds? I will chant every day. Why not 300 rounds every day like Haridas Thakur? Sometimes we may become over enthusiastic, not understanding that Acharyas give very practical instructions. We cannot imitate Haridas Thakur. We should not think, let me also become like Haridas Thakur and chant so many rounds. Every day he was chanting, I think we calculated once, it's around more than 300 rounds. Every day he was chanting. We are not able to chant even 16 rounds properly, and we are thinking that we will imitate Haridas Thakur and chant some 300 rounds. So once there are many such cases sometimes we find. Sometimes this is very practical. Sometimes some devotees, they try like this to imitate Haridas Thakur. It so happened that once there was a devotee he was an American devotee and he was serving in Africa. So there he was serving in the ashram and he was trying to chant his more and more number of rounds. So he did not find the place to be very congenial, and he said to Prabhupada, I want to come to India where you are, and I want to come and practice my spiritual life there. So then he came to Vrindavan, and then from Vrindavan, Prabhupada, Vrindavan, he tried so many things, and then Prabhupada called him to Mayapur. So his name was Sharma Das. So this devotee, he was trying to chant every day 150 rounds. So nearly half of what Haridas Thakur was chanting. So he was chanting around 150 rounds, and he was living in Goshala. He was not living in Brahmacharya ashram. He was living in Goshala. So whatever the remnants of foodstuffs from the devotees was left over, he would try to eat that. And then one fine day, he wanted permission of Prabhupada, that Prabhupada, please give me permission. I want to build a hut on a tree and I want to live there. I am feeling very disturbed by these people when I am chanting my 150 round. So many people come and disturb me. So please give me permission so that I can go and I can make a house on a tree and I can live there and chant my 150 rounds. So Prabhupada explains, he says, this is another monkey's life. Prabhupada never appreciated that. Prabhupada said, just like the monkey is living on the tree, you also want to go and live on the tree. This is not actual renunciation. So very beautifully, Prabhupada explained the principle that actually this is nothing but another form of sense gratification. It's another form of sense gratification. So Prabhupada said, this is based on selfish interest. And even if it was only a small display now, so even though it is a small display, but actually it is based on selfish interest. Prabhupada gave the example with this contest to his other disciples. He said that there were two thieves. So one thief, he stole diamond, and there was another thief, he stole one cucumber from one sabji market. So Prabhupada explained, even though one stole diamond and another stole small cucumber, nevertheless both of them are thieves. Similarly, Prabhupada gave the example, even the materialistic people, they are trying in their own way for their own selfish interest. So here we find someone for his own selfish interest wants to go and sit on a tree and chant, imitating Haridas Thakur, so that not to be disturbed by other, he wants to chant his round. Prabhupada said, this is just a show of interest, selfish interest. So from this itself, one can understand it is nothing but just selfish interest. For cheap name and fame. Actually, Haridas Thakur is on a liberated platform. That one should understand. Similarly, Prabhupada gives another example. So once Prabhupada was talking about Raghunath Das Goswami. So very beautiful teachings Prabhupada gives about Raghunath Das Goswami. Prabhupada says, the most important principle, what we learn from the life of Raghunath Das Goswami is, this is what we should understand, is try to reduce the demands of body. We should try to reduce as much as possible the demands of body. If we are used to sleeping 10 hours daily, and if our body can be healthy with 6 hours of sleep, why we should waste another 4 hours? This is what we should learn. Rather than overeating, actually which will be the cause of body to get lot of diseases, if we can reduce our eating and with whatever minimum I can eat and survive, and I can be healthy to serve Krishna, we should eat that much, not overeating. This is the principle we should derive from the life of Raghunath Das Goswami. Prabhupada gave the example. Prabhupada said, each Goswami had exemplary life. We cannot imitate them, but we can learn important principles from them. So very beautiful example Prabhupada gave. So Prabhupada gave about the life of Raghunath Das Goswami from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's very beautifully described. I'll just read that. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we know that Raghunath Das Goswami gave a big feast of Panihati. So what he would do, he would accept the money coming from his father, and he thought it is good. Anyway, my father is having so much money, so let me take that money and I will spend it for the devotees. I will give feast to the devotees. So he was giving feast like this. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy about that. But after some days, so he saw that he is no more inviting devotees for the feast. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired, what happened? Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath, he used to invite devotees for feast. But I don't see that anymore he is inviting devotees for feast. What happened? So then Swarup Damodar, who was personal great devotee, servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said that now you are not receiving those invitations because he has stopped taking any money from his father anymore. Oh, that's very nice, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. So Prabhupada explains, Raghunath was thinking, although I have renounced everything, I am still enjoying my father's money. This is hypocritical. So therefore he said, I don't want. So he sent back the servants who used to bring money from his father. He said, I don't want any money from my father. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired, so how is he living now? Earlier he used to take that money from his parent and he used to spend for devotees, and he also used to accept that prasadam from that. How is he doing? So then he said, now he is standing on the steps of Jagannath temple, and when the priest pass by him on their way, they give some prasadam to him, and he is very happy with that. He is satisfied. Oh, that is very nice, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. So regularly Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go to Jagannath temple and he would see that Raghunath Das Goswami was standing on the steps, and he would be just waiting. Some pujari is coming and he gives them some Mahaprasadam, and he would go and take that. But after some time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw that he is no more to be seen even on the steps of Jagannath temple. So then once again he inquired with Swarup Damodar, what happened? I used to see Raghunath Das standing on the steps, but I don't see him anymore. So then he said, Swarup Damodar said, he has even given up that practice. He is thinking, what is this? I am standing here like a prostitute, waiting for someone to come and give me food. Isn't it? I don't like this. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, oh, that's very nice. But how is he eating now? How is he surviving now? So then he said, every day he is collecting some remnants from whatever is being washed from Jagannath temple kitchen, and after it is washed out in those nalas, on those, and from that he collects some prasadam, whatever is left over, rice, all those things, he washes that with water and he partakes that. So he said, oh, he's taking that Mahaprasadam like this, very good. So then one day, to encourage him, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally went and visited his house, and immediately one morsel he snatched from the hands of Raghunath Das and put it in his mouth. And immediately Raghunath said, my dear Lord, this is not for you. This is not for you. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to also tell him the importance of prasadam, that whether prasadam is lying in gutter or prasadam is in a plate, there is no difference. But of course we cannot imitate. We should not think. So now let me, from tomorrow, from whatever is going on in the nali after washing, let me also try to eat that. Isn't it? We will fall diseased. So we should not try to imitate. Prabhupada says, comments about that. So you are eating very palatable food. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu partook that. And he said, this is prasadam of the Lord. So then, after some time, he was not even taking that prasadam from that leftover, whatever was collected from that. And even just in 3-4 days, once in 2-3 days, he would accept just half a glass of buttermilk. Just imagine. In 3-4 days, he would just drink half a glass of buttermilk. So Prabhupada summarizes, after telling this story, Prabhupada summarizes and says, don't imitate Raghunath Das Goswami and think in 3 days I will also take only half a glass of buttermilk. We are not in a position to imitate. Artificially we should not do. He is already in that position. That we should understand. Why is he doing this? He is in a position where he has no time. He has no time for that, and he is in a position where he is able to survive even with just half a glass of buttermilk for 3 days. Isn't it? We are not in that position. So Prabhupada says, he summarizes, Raghunath Das Goswami reduced his daily quantity of food until he was finally eating only 1 part of butter every other day. And every day he was also going down hundreds of times, constantly chanting the holy name. Sankhya Purvaka Namagana Natibhi. Although this is an excellent example, Prabhupada is saying, of minimizing all material necessities, we should not try to imitate it. This is an excellent example of minimizing all material necessities. We should not imitate this. It is not possible for an ordinary man to imitate Raghunath Das Goswami. Each one of the Goswamis displayed a unique example of how one can advance in Krishna consciousness. But it is not our duty to imitate them. We should just try to follow as far as possible in their footsteps. If we immediately try to become like Raghunath Das Goswami by imitating him, we are sure to fail. And whatever progress we have made will be defeated. You see? So this is very important. So we should just try to follow in the footsteps, not imitate. Immediately we try to think, now from tomorrow onward I will only take half a glass of buttermilk. Prabhupada is saying, you are sure to fail, and whatever progress you have made, that will also be gone. That will be finished. So don't try to imitate. So, Prabhupada then further says, similarly, the same thing applies to sleep also. We also know Prabhupada was sleeping hardly 2-3 hours. These Goswamis were also sleeping hardly 1 hour in a day. Is it possible for a conditioned soul like us? They were showing the example we should try to reduce the necessities of life. So Prabhupada further say, the same moderation applies to sleep. Presently, I am sleeping 10 hours a day, but if I can keep myself fit by sleeping 5 hours, why sleep 10? That should be our understanding. Not try to imitate these Goswamis. Then Prabhupada gives the example of Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami was practicing Madhukari. Madhukari means going and begging from door to door and accepting whatever it is possible to survive on the life. So Prabhupada said, devotees in Krishna consciousness, we all go and beg on behalf of the spiritual master. That is the principle of Madhukari we should follow. And not exactly try to think, let me go to Vrindavan, go from house to house and be in a lion cloth like these 6 Goswami was, and let me also practice Madhukari. Prabhupada says we cannot imitate that. Actually, in our mind, we'll be only thinking about women and money. Externally, we may be practicing Madhukari. So that also we should not try to imitate. Prabhupada says better to live in the temple, in the facility provided by the spiritual master, and take prasadam and practice Krishna consciousness. So very beautifully Prabhupada says about that also. Unfortunately, there are many beggars who have come to Vrindavan to accept alms, but not follow the principles of Sanatana Goswami. People try to imitate him and lead a life by practicing Madhukari. It is almost impossible to strictly follow Sanatana Goswami or Rupa Goswami. Then Prabhupada is saying, it is better to accept food offered to Krishna in the temple than to try to imitate Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami. So how their principle has to be practiced, we should understand. Not by imitating them, but by taking those principles, understanding those principles from Prabhupada, then we try to implement those principles. Similarly, Prabhupada said about Haridas Thakur, that one should not think that let me become Haridas Thakur and chant 300 rounds. Isn't it? Prabhupada said, our practice in Krishna consciousness is, we should practice the number of rounds fixed by the spiritual master. So, one should not imitate Haridas Thakur, for no one else can chant 300,000 times a day. Such chanting is for the Mukta Purusha or liberated soul. We can follow his example, however, by chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra on beads every day and offering respects to the Tulsi plant. This is what we can learn from him. So we are also, Prabhupada imbibed the principle of Haridas Thakur in our Krishna consciousness by chanting 16 rounds in front of Tulsi Maharani. That is what we are all doing. So Prabhupada is saying, that is not at all difficult for anyone. The process of chanting Hare Krishna mantra with a vow before the Tulsi plant has such a strong spiritual potency that simply by doing this one can become spiritually strong. So we find this, that actually in another place Prabhupada explains, this is not only for material duties, even for spiritual duties. Even for spiritual duties, we should not try to imitate another devotee's duties also. That is also very important. Prabhupada says that whatever is prescribed duty by the spiritual master, when Krishna talks about that you should perform your prescribed duty, don't follow another person's duty. Right? Krishna says it is better to perish trying to perform your own duty rather than thinking I will perform somebody else's duty. Krishna says that. In that Prabhupada comments, there are two kinds of duties, material and spiritual. Material duties should be performed according to one's psychology. Suppose somebody's psychology is Brahminical, he should perform Brahminical duties. Somebody's psychology is that of a Shudra, he should perform that kind of duty. Somebody's psychology is, like a Kshatriya, he should perform the duties of a Kshatriya. And then Prabhupada says there are spiritual duties. In spiritual duties, the spiritual master may tell somebody, he may be having inclination for one kind, but the spiritual master may tell him to do another kind. He should be ready to do that. So Prabhupada says that is called spiritual duties. So Prabhupada says even in spiritual duties, one should not try to imitate another's duty. Materially, prescribed duties are duties enjoined according to one's psychological condition. Spiritual duties are as ordered by spiritual master for the transcendental service of Krishna. But whether material or spiritual, one should stick to his prescribed duty even up to death, rather than imitate another's prescribed duties. Duties on the spiritual platform and duties on material platform may be different, but the principle of following the authorized direction is always good for the performer. Prabhupada is saying, even though both are different, material duties are different, spiritual duties are different, but still the most important point is, even in spiritual duties, one should follow the authorized direction given for performing the duty. That is very important. So, there are many more points, but I think it's already time. We'll try to cover the next class. Srila Prabhupada ki